Well, hello again, Vincent. I got cut off on the other video. I was on a roll. You know, I was just going on and on. So anyway, I finally caught myself and realized, wow, the time was up a long time ago. But anyway, at the end, I was talking about, Eastern education, that sort of thing. That Eastern and Middle Eastern teachers, developed their own understanding of, like what's in a person, what kind of consciousness do they have, I think it's Sufi tradition. What is it, like seven? There's seven kinds of consciousness or something like that. And so, in Judaism, in Jewish mysticism, there are five aspects to the soul. Sometimes people say that some say that there are like five souls that a person has, or five parts of the soul, or whatever. And, there are all these different models about, what we are as, an operative beings, like what kind of verb are we, that sort of thing. So anyway, these aspects of understanding and knowledge and wisdom and things like that, they're have been explored by the teachers, and in the powers that they develop, meditative, contemplative, whatever, and to some extent, various scientific developments happen, whatever, and they develop their own understanding of things like cosmology. So perhaps through meditative techniques or whatever, they got insights into cosmology, and I haven't studied very much of it, with any tradition, but the things that I found through Kabbalism, study of Kabbalah, there are rabbis who have said significant things about cosmology, which are compatible with modern ideas, things that are happening today when they talk about, I believe they call it the quantum vacuum, or the vacuum energy, or the something about virtual particles, like there are an incessant number of virtual particles in space, and these particles are being annihilated and created just about the same time. So there's this property of space that it has a huge activity in it. And like in Blavatsky's work or something, they're going to call this the plenum or whatever, that there is no such thing as a vacuum, and a vacuum is a plenum, and that sort of thing. They use these terms, which shouldn't dissuade anybody. These are really honest insights from the mystical side, pointing us toward what scientists are actually discovering about space. So anyway, there are insights about cosmology that came through ancient peoples, ancient teachers, that sort of thing. So Theosophists are open to that, as comparative religion, and they study science comparatively. They compare modern findings in science to these ancient ideas, and so it's philosophy, religion, and science, let's see. You had mentioned Alice Bailey. Well, Madame Blavatsky only lived about 7 years after she formed the Theosophical Society. It's the biggest group of theosophical types in the United States. In the Theosophical Society. She only lived about 7 years, and when she passed away, very quickly, I think Alice Bailey came to rescue the society, to be the leader of the society for a very short period of time. But Alice, you know, didn't seem to have the same, I guess, the spirit of eclecticism that they expected, whatever, with most society members, whatever. But anyway, it didn't bother her. She wrote her own works. She was exploring ideas through some kind of meditation or contemplation or something, and so she wrote several works. I'm not familiar with her works. I haven't read them I haven't read any of them really, but I've heard a lot about them. But anyway, I just have this rough idea of Alice Bailey. She went on to put together a company called Lucifer Trust, and there was a publishing company, and then she changed the name to Lucis Trust, and I guess they published her books, and they probably still do, and the things that she believed she could teach were in the books, and everything in the society goes on and on, you know, promoting her ideas. Now, in her group or whatever, they believe it is beneficial, you know, to get these things, you know, broadcast, you know, through the UN or whatever. But that doesn't represent all theosophists in America, you know. She may say that members of the Lucis Trust may consider themselves theosophical or even theosophists. Some, like I belong to a lodge, the United Lodge of Theosophists, and it's not really, you know, kosher or whatever to call yourself a theosophist, because it puts you too much in the office of teacher, when really, truly, we're all students. You know what I mean? We're all learning. We're only going to learn so much before, you know, we go on to another life or whatever. You know, there's only so much. And the important thing is to learn, to be a student. You know, you can teach if you, I mean, you know, I signed a pledge to be, that I'm in sympathy with the lodge. And the lodge says that, you know, if you can teach, you should. You should teach, you know, Theosophy. But anyway, but it's still of the utmost importance to be a student, you know, because there's so much that, you know, could be explored. So anyway, but in terms of the society, you know, the Theosophical Society is non-dogmatic, they're non-sectarian, and they're non-political. So you wouldn't have members of the Theosophical Society as an, you know, organized effort to go after the UN. They just are not doing that, you know. It's like they're kind of they have very open membership, and they're not closed like Mensa. You know, Mensa wants to consider the problems of the world, the political problems or whatever, and Mensa limits its membership to people that have high IQs, you know, IQ of a certain level, at least 140. It used to be. I don't know if they're changing that or not. But anyway, you can have people concerned about all kinds of things that come to Theosophical meetings. They're completely open to the public, you know. Like in my lodge, our meetings are completely open to the public. We have public meetings, you know. It's just that in my particular lodge, the tradition is that they just cover a fixed number of subjects that are lectured upon, and then there's a lecture for about an hour, and then there's half an hour of discussion, you know, and that occurs every week. So anyway, they fix the topics of the lecture because they regard the writings of Blavatsky and people